Many people say your movies are bad.
In cinema, there are directors who follow the rules, and then there are those who rewrite them entirely. Uwe Boll, a German filmmaker who dared to do what others wouldn't. House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain, Postal. Films that sparked debate, challenged conventions, and proved that one man's conviction could move mountains. He worked with Hollywood's finest: Jason Statham, Ben Kingsley, Ray Liotta, actors of caliber who trusted his vision. Bold, independent, unfiltered. Today, we sit down with him to hear his story, his perspective, the man behind the camera, Uwe Boll, an exclusive conversation.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Paul. It's a pleasure to talking with you. So let's start simple. Can you tell us about yourself and how you started making movies?
Yeah, I was a movie fan, basically, first. As a child, also, I watched a lot of movies and loved movies. And I told my parents I want to make movies, but they had no contact to the film industry. They were not involved in anything. And they thought that's just a dream. When you're a child, some people dream, I want to be a pilot or whatever, right? So, and then the reality kicks in. But I got a Super 8mm camera, a little small camera, and started making movies, mostly with like big gym figures, monsters, dinosaurs. I blowed them up. I did like stop motion stuff and stuff like this, because I didn't had a lot of friends who wanted to act in the movie. So I had to make like kind of more like animation movies. And then I studied literature later, and I did get a spot at the film school. And there I felt with a friend of mine, Frank Lustig, like, if we don't make a movie now, we will never make a movie. Like, so, and then we did a German fright movie. That was a comedy movie, basically. And we were able to sell the film, not for a lot of money, but we were able to sell the film. It got some distribution. And then we kept going, basically. And Frank did then a different job at one point. He stepped out. And I always wanted to make more Hollywood movies, American movies. And so I needed 4 years to make my first American movie in the year 2000, Sanctimony. There was a kind of Seven, like a serial murder kind of film, Silence of the Lambs style and stuff like this. So I did that film, and the sales of that film were good. And so I could do more and more films, basically based on the last films I did, and I think one of the next question would be like with the video game based movies. That was with the House of the Dead movie. That was really like, people came to me and said, look, you want to do a zombie movie? And I said, why not? Right. So I liked the George R. Romero, the original zombie movies like Dawn of the Dead and stuff. And so I said, okay, I can do this House of the Dead movie based on the Sega video game. And that movie got bad reviews, but made a lot of money. So, and then like investors and people with money, they said, look, we would give you money, but only if you do video game based movies. And so I was basically very much the early one, like who started making films out of video games. Today, when you looked at today, you have video game movies all like left and right, and a lot, right? So, but when I did it like 20 years ago, basically, there was not so much video game based movies. And and that is how it started with House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain, Dungeon Siege, Far Cry. So I did a lot of these movies.
You made many movies based on video games. How was that experience for you? Was it easy or difficult, to make a video game to movie?
Yeah, the problem with the video game based movies is that the fans of the video game are never really happy, right? So they played that game 100 hours, so they are totally in this game, right? So, and there will be, whatever you do, there will be not necessarily loving your movie. So, but on the other hand too, if you make a movie out of a video game, you need to make the movie that everybody understands the movie. So even people who never played the video game need to understand the film, right? So you cannot be too specific video game style, because then the normal audience doesn't want to watch it. And that's I think the very trick with it. For me, it was also new when I started it with House of the Dead. What I never did before was this kind of massive amounts of special effects, where you have really like this kind of crazy computer effects, and you create monsters. We had that, like on House of the Dead, we had that Matrix set up with 180 cameras and stuff like this. That is where I had to go. I had to get used to it. That also the shooting takes longer of the scenes, right? Because you have always an FFX supervisor, and maybe the green screen, and you have to do this, you have to do this. It changed really the way I had to plan making movies and how we shot the movies. The technical crew is bigger, as if you make a normal movie where you just have people acting and maybe having a gunfight or something. That really changed the way I had to operate also. Yeah.
Okay. So you like to work your own way, independently. Why is it so important for you to work, your own style?
I think that basically happened in a way. When you start independent and you make your movies, you try to get the financing together, and then you make the movie, you're kind of really independent. Nobody is there to tell you what to do. It's like you and the crew and the actors. And if you work for a studio or you work for a streamer, they're sitting with you on set, right? They're sitting there and they're looking at the script and they're looking what you do. And then they tell you exactly, no, that's not how it is in the script. Yeah. So, because we paid a movie, so you have to do what we want. And I think that's after a while, when you work so long independently like me, that's like, you cannot do that anymore, right? So you cannot like, it's like when you, the coach of a soccer team, that he will lose all his power if other people can interfere with what he's doing, right? He has to decide who's playing and who's not playing. And they have to listen to him. And I see a director like this. I think the old days where you had like directors, John Ford, Stanley Kubrick, they're not getting like people talking to them like how they want to shoot the movie. They're the boss, So, yeah. And I think as a director, that doesn't mean you're not a team player. You're not open for an actor telling you, I want to do it this way, I want to do this faster, whatever. Like that's clear. But there's a huge difference between trying to get a better film and listen to people on the set, or having basically the feeling you're not the boss. That these people are the boss because they paid your movie, and now you have people, they basically don't really know about movie making. A lot of people who work at the streamers like Netflix, whatever, they work there, but they cannot make a movie. They don't really know how to do it. But then they're kind of like controllers, and that's a big problem. It would be a big problem for me, Yeah.
Yeah. So, I want to ask you something. Many people say your movies are bad. What do you think about this? Is it fair or not?
No, I don't think it's fair. I think I made a lot of movies. I made a lot of different movies also. But action, comedy, sci-fi, horror, kind of mystery. So the only thing what I never did is a poor like drama. Right, I'm not the guy to tell a love story. Let's say it this way. So I'm more. I like action. I like thriller. I like this kind of darker stuff, harder stuff, and and I feel a lot of the reviewers who watched only House of the Dead or Alone in the Dark, they said Uwe Boll is a bad director. But they didn't watch all my movies. And, you know, I know a lot of people, they love my video game-based movies, but critics, they didn't. They think they're stupid action movies, blah, 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 you know. But if they would watch Tunnel Rats, Darfur, Assault on Wall Street, Rampage, if they would watch these movies, they would maybe have a different opinion about me. They would maybe think, oh, these were actually good movies. They're not like they have good scripts. They are like they have twists and turns and good acting. And that's a little, for me, this kind of feeling that I think a lot of reviewers, they didn't look deep enough into my movies. You know, they were just giving up on me.
Do you think people understand your work, your movies, or they just judge too fast?
I think they judge too fast. They judge also based on maybe one or two movies. And I did now, I think, 38 or 39 movies. So it's a long career with a lot of movies, a lot of different genres also. And I totally agree that some people, for example, who love whatever, Assault on Wall Street, that they don't like Alone in the Dark is okay, right? Sorry. But I think it's that's not a crime. That's okay. So I am not a director who made always the same movies, the same genre, the same thing, right? It's easier to judge some directors who only make one specific kind of movie and where all the movies are similar. And that's not the case with me. I think I also put always the story first. You know, it's not like I have to make this style. All the movies of me have to be done in a way that people say, that's his style, right? So I don't think so. I think the style has to be secondary important. The most important is the story you tell. And some stories you tell in a different way as other stories. A movie like House of the Dead, you don't tell this like Darfur, you know, about the massacres in Sudan or something. That's a totally different subject, a totally different movie. And you have to tell the story different. And the camera has to be different. The music is different. And the way you act with these actors is also different. Yeah.
Different, yeah. So, if you get a new chance, would you make another game movie?
Yes. I wanted to do the House of the Dead in official sequel. Right now it looks not so good, but today some producers contacted me. They said, look, we have a technical crew. We could invest all of this so you can shoot the movie cheaper. So that's what I would like to do it, because I had fun with House of the Dead. For me, House of the Dead is the more entertaining movie in comparison to Alone in the Dark, for example, right? And for years, I wanted to do a sequel to In the Name of the King, Dungeon Siege. And but Jason Statham costs now $20 million per movie, right? So I paid him $1 million for that movie, and now he wants 20. That's too expensive. That's very tough, right? So of course, I'm not Warner Brothers, so it's not like I just have it. No, I don't have this amount of money. So it's like, but I think yesterday I had a discussion with somebody about In the Name of the King, and I think it's actually for Jason Statham one of his best movies, because it's the only movie what is really different. You know, all the other Jason Statham movies are basically the same. It's like you cannot really, you know, when he plays the beekeeper and he plays this and this and this, he looks the same, he acts the same. And it's almost the same story. He has
everything the same, yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, but I don't know why they have bad reviews about it.
Yeah. No, In the Name of the King, yeah. It's also like, I think the people should always look, when you go on Amazon, for example, the viewers, the people that actually watch my movies, they like my movies. Most of my movies have like 4 out of 5 on Amazon. you know, but they have then on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes only 10% and
Yeah.
90% bad. But these websites, they count only like this written newspaper reviews. They don't care about the online people, the online reviews, and the audience. They don't care about it. And I think the audience likes my movies way more as the review as the critics.
Yeah, right. So we have a quick questions. You must answer fast.
Okay.
Best movie you made.
Assault on Wall Street.
Okay. Worst movie you made.
Um, Alone in the Dark.
Okay. So movie you regret.
I regret that I shot it. None. I would shoot them all again. I would try to make them better, but I don't really regret that I shot a movie. Yeah.
Impressive. So do you think negative fame is better than no fame?
That's a tough question because I think it's a yes and no, right? So it's like, it's of course, people know me based on all these movies I did and the bad reviews I got, and I boxed the critics in the boxing ring. So I basically kind of embraced this. But let's say I would not had bad reviews and nobody would know me, I maybe could get more money from the studios or from the streamers, right? They would not like, oh, Uwe Boll, we don't know, right? So yeah, and I think it really had a bad effect and a good effect too. Yeah.
Yeah. What is more important to you? Good reviews or people watching your movies?
No, the people. Absolutely. The people are way more important. And it's also, it shows that the movies still get watched now. And like In the Name of the King was in Germany last week, #1 on Amazon Prime, like an older movie, right? #1. So, and I think that's more satisfying too, that the audience still likes the movies and watches the movies.
What advice do you give to filmmakers in Middle East and Iraq?
Yeah, I mean, try as much you can, make your movies, you know, and I mean, when you go deeper into look at Nigeria, there's a huge film industry, for example, in Africa, right? So, and I think in the Middle East,
Right.
what we see now is that the Saudi Arab, they investing a lot in movies also, in Dubai,
Right.
Qatar, but they have so much money because of all the oil they have, so they can pay a lot of Hollywood stars coming in and so on, you know. So, but I feel also it's important to have local people starting to make it maybe smaller movie, more genre movies, and you know, and saying, look, why not making a real action thriller in Baghdad? You know, why not? It could be really cool, you know, and it doesn't have to be always about the war or something. It should be separate from this, you know. It should because when you see Hollywood movies, as soon as it's in Middle East, it's the war. You know, there is no other story.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, so, what?
Hopefully one day you will make it in Baghdad.
Yeah, but it should be. I would like to make a thriller. You know, that there is a thriller and it has nothing to do with the war. It's just a crime thriller or something. You know, that could work very well. And yeah, but I think it's very good that you at least watch the movies and you have friends, they watch movies. And so I think so step by step that could work, you know. So, and I think also like film industry is not developing overnight. Yeah.
So now we have a question about the AI. What do you think about AI in filmmaking? Is it helpful or not?
Yeah, it's similar to what you said with the reviewers and the audience. No? So I think that AI for independent movies is good because you can make bigger effects, bigger visual effects cheaper. And you can make movies bigger and you're a little more competitive against the $100 million, $200 million studio movies. So for independent filmers, I think AI is a good thing. I think for a lot of people who work in the film industry, AI is a disaster because they will lose their jobs, right? So I mean,
Yeah,
so I think in post-production, a lot of jobs will get lost. I think, for example, at one point it will be way easier to have like extras in the back, like people in the back. Just later in post-production, you put it in. You don't need them on set, So, and what I use already is when I still write my scripts myself, but then I put them into ChatGPT asking, how's that script, right? So you get feedback from AI to what you've wrote.
about your secret.
Yeah, and that's very helpful because when you send a script to a streamer, to Netflix or so, they're giving it to AI.
Yeah,
They will
yeah.
get the feedback from ChatGPT and so on. So now it's better you do it yourself, and then you maybe change the script where the AI flags it and says, look, that's not good, that's not logic, whatever. So, that's
Yeah.
that helps, of course. So there are jobs will get lost from AI worldwide in
Because
offices.
of
Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
So later I will send you a link for short movies, 2 minutes. I made totally with AI. So
Okay.
later
Okay,
I
I
can
will watch it.
send you
Yeah,
the link. Let's see.
yeah.
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 So about you, what do you want to do next in your career?
Yeah, I have a few projects I wanted to do, like the 23 years later, the Zombie Island thing. So I didn't give it completely up. I have an action movie, 12 hours, where a guy's family gets kidnapped and he needs to kill 5 people in 12 hours or his family is dead. So
Yes.
that would be Jason Statham. That would be a typical Jason Statham movie. But I cannot. I cannot pay him $20 million, right? But that's a very good action. I think action film. And then I'm thinking about Rampage 4, like the fourth part of Rampage, um, because it's 10 years after Rampage 3 now, and the world is so crazy. When you see,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, the Iran
Change a
war
lot.
and everything, it's crazy what's going on. So to put something in there, because Rampage was always this kind of action, but also very political, that could be good. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
and
right.
I'm thinking about that too. So I hope in fall I can shoot another movie, but we're also in my movie Citizen Vigilante with Armie Hammer is getting out in June 19 in the US and Canada first, and then hopefully we sold Middle East. So hopefully in Middle East it comes out, and so that's the Citizen Vigilante. And then we are in post-production right now of my New York cop thing, First Shift 2 and 3. I shot First Shift 1, and it was 20 weeks on Paramount Plus in the top 10. So it was very successful. And then
It was
then we felt like, let's do First Shift 2 and 3. We shot it. We are in post-production. And I hope that will be successful also. Yeah.
I hope that too. So, finally, what advice do you have to young filmmakers?
Yeah, I mean, the positive now is you have AI, you have digital shooting, you can shoot in very good quality, way cheaper. When I grew up, it was 35 millimeter. So you had like video, like really cameras, you had to go to the lab, you had to buy the film material. So to shoot a movie when I was young, was impossible under $100,000. It was just impossible, right? Even if every actor would say I play for free, it was just the film material, the editing, the post-production, and stuff like this. You also now have in theaters digital screenings. So you don't need anymore a print. You can have a Blu-ray, basically, is enough to show in the in a movie theaters. So
Yeah.
yeah, you know, and that my advice is now you can make easier and cheaper good quality. So try yourself out, do short movies, have a YouTube channel, you know, like this kind of stuff, and then work your way up to your first long film. So, you know, I think that's the really good thing. The bad thing is that I think it was not good that DVD and Blu-ray died, and that now everything is just streaming. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah, I think Blu-ray had especially Blu-rays for me. I did a director's commentary. We had a making of. You get more information about the film. You have a nice cover. It's different now in stream. Films are so quick gone, right? Where you're like, they're just like never popping up again. They're completely like, but sometimes I would say films on Netflix where they spent $50 million to make that film, after 2 weeks when it's not visible anymore in the timelines,
Yeah.
they're
Disappear
gone
forever.
forever. Nobody cares, right? So they will be gone forever. Nobody, because there is no DVD, no Blu-ray, they were not in normal TV, they were not like in the movie theaters. So it's like this kind of, nobody will remember them. They're like, you know, and that's bad. I think that's bad. I'm from
Of
a
course.
generation still where movies had a whole life span, you know, where people watched it in the movie
That's right.
theaters, on Blu-ray, DVD. Yeah.
So, thank you very much, Mr. Bull. It was great talking to you, and thank you very much.
Yeah,
I
we
really
stay in contact. Send me the link. I will post the
Of
link
course.
everywhere. I sent you the
Thank you very much. Thank
recording.
you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
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 Thank you very much.